Oh, yeah! It's time for the FTW podcast, the wrestling world in all its laughable glory. I am Harrison, and with me as always is no Joe, no Kevin, but we do have Rob. Say hello, Rob.
Hey.
And Garvin. Say hello, Garvin.
I'm not just manning the boards, I'm also on the air.
Multitasking. Good job, buddy. Tonight's show is episode number 114 and is coming to you live on May 15, 2012. And on tonight's show, we have the Sacrifice Fallout Over the Limit discussion. You guys asked us if basically Monday's Raw is going to kill the Over the Limit buy rates, and will Matt Morgan possibly make the jump to WWE? If you're new to the show, check out ftwpodcast.com for more about us, like our likes, our dislikes, if you should send us beef jerky because you lost a bet, and how to get involved in tonight's show as well as upcoming shows. You can reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, voicemail, text message, email. Bring in your comments throughout the show. It's going to be awesome. Live chat, as always, ftwpodcast.com/live. It's like a party in a can. You can email questions to us at questions@ftwpodcast.com, and if you're on Twitter, use hashtag FTWLive. But first, we're going to kick it to Rob for last week's Impact. Rob, what'd you think, buddy? Did you think that Impact did a respectable job hyping Sacrifice or the return of Abyss? Because that was something we debated. Because we had a pre-show, Rob, on Sunday, Rob, about the pay-per-view, Rob, that you figure a guy named Rob would have made it, but he didn't. So we're going to be teasing you and recapping it for you when we're talking.
I'm sure. I think they did a pretty good job overall. I would have liked to see more than 4 matches, but with the segments and everything, I think they did a pretty good job on both fronts, both pushing Sacrifice and pushing the Abyss storyline forward. I think they really had some things going for them and got me more excited to see Sacrifice, even though even though I do kind of wish I had made the pre-show now, because the problem with Impact was that they kind of killed a lot of momentum. After watching the Go Home Impact, I would have changed my votes on quite a few things, having learned some information, particularly about Bobby Roode becoming the longest reigning heavyweight champion in like a few days now.
Yeah, and believe it or not, Garvin and I changed a lot of our picks for that exact reason. We had Lee from WrestlingNewsSource.com on, and he was fantastic. A couple of things that we discussed that I book noted because I wanted to discuss them with you. One of them was Lee brought up the point that Impact was going great, and then Abyss came back, and all of a sudden, that was the new story. It wasn't that Sacrifice was coming up. It was, now all we're going to do is talk about Abyss, and which we did. We devoted an inordinate amount of time to discussing Abyss and his brother and that storyline and how hilarious it would be to see they're like trying to do it to where they're both on camera at the same time. So you see like his brother there, and he's like, "Thanks, Abyss," and then he runs to the camera right. There's a very harsh jump cut, and then Abyss pops on and goes, "That's okay, brother," and then he hold out hands. And then what Lee said, which I thought was hilarious, was that they would just have a stand-in for one of them, and it would just be like Devon wearing beige long-sleeve shirt to be Abyss, like wearing the mask. Like it's very clearly a black guy underneath Abyss's outfit trying to do Abyss's gimmick. Like we were just thinking that would just be hilarious. But that was the one thing we wanted to talk about was, did it seem like with that all of a sudden just the cat's out of the bag, the balloon's deflated, and a bit, why not debut Abyss on Sacrifice? Why do it on Impact?
That's a good point. I would have had Abyss make his debut on Sacrifice, especially since he really didn't do anything other than warn his brother that his brother was getting too close.
Yeah, Kane's
right.
Fire.
And you make a good point too. With the way Impact ended, Abyss coming out and giving his warning, and then having everybody, all 4 of the top guys in TNA, sell it. I mean, you look at Bobby Roode, you look at Ken Anderson, Jeff Hardy, RVD, all of them have this holy shit, scared look on their face. they
Well,
oversell it. So I can see what you're talking about. That the story does shift from talking about Sacrifice to now talking about Abyss.
yeah, I mean, when I mean, looking at the pre-show, I'm willing to bet our pre-show was largely a pretty good slice of discussion as far as what the IWC was looking at Sacrifice, which was, like you were saying, the fact that RVD, Ken Anderson, Rude, and Hardy sold Abyss so well, whereas at that time we should have been talking about, holy crap, it's gonna be Bobby Roode versus RVD in a ladder match. That wasn't the story anymore. It was, hey, Abyss is back. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where it was like it totally just sucked the air out of the room. The other thing that we thought was really, really strange, and I have my theory about this, is it was kind of weird, at least traditionally, Daniels and Kaz revealing the evidence they have on Impact, but not the pay per view. I mean, that's kind of like giving the steak away for free.
Well, I think they kind of have to. I mean, I think TNA realizes that their buy rates for pay-per-views are low, and we've talked about this before, where has seemed to get to a point in a company where they realize, hey, you know what, we don't really care about our pay-per-view buy rates at this point in time. That's something we're going to address later. We've got other avenues. And I don't see where revealing that at the pay-per-view would really have done anything when you've got Kaz and Daniels getting ready for a tag team match against Samoa Joe and Magnus. So I don't have too much of a problem with having them reveal it out there, especially since it did what it needed to do, which was take a lot of the wind out of AJ Styles' sails, and now you've got fans questioning, okay, well, is AJ Styles really the good guy here, or are Kaz and Daniels the good guy? Right.
Okay, just one question, one point from the chat. Maybe they were teasing, basically the chat's asking, maybe they were teasing storyline progression at the pay-per-view to boost buy rates, which is a fair assumption, but seriously, like I said, that's basically, it's giving away the steak for free and charging for water. I mean, you gave away the big reveal. There's no pop after that. It's like, well, the pictures are already out, unless they're worse or there's a kid involved. I don't know. I can't imagine how you take that to the next level.
Well, I think the way you take it to the next level is building off of some of the stuff that happened at the pay-per-view. I mean, you had Kaz and Daniels jumping AJ Styles after the awesome, epic match that AJ Styles and Kurt Angle had, and you have Angle decide to help AJ Styles out, and then at the end basically tell Daniels and Kaz, hey, if you want to get to AJ Styles, you've got to go through me.
Okay.
So now you've got the possibility of AJ Styles and Kurt Angle teaming up.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, that's Sacrifice discussion, but all right. So, I mean, was there? I mean, you thought Impact did a decent job of teasing for Sacrifice?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. All right, so now we're gonna bounce over to SmackDown. Joe usually does it for us, but fortunately he is he's currently out trying to find out why Karma isn't on TV right now. And in case you're wondering why Kevin hasn't been on the show, we found out he's actually camping out for Cincinnati Reds World Series tickets right now. He said he's adamant that he's gonna get the best seats in the house, so he's got a tent down at the Cincinnati Reds Stadium, and he's gonna be waiting for the next 5 months.
The Reds have to actually win a few games here.
Okay, yeah, I tried having that discussion with him. You do not want to have that discussion with him. There's swearing involved. He throws things. He's like a child.
Yeah, that's actually the real reason why Joe's not here. He didn't want to see Kevin suffer anymore sitting in Cincinnati by himself, and decided to go get him. So yeah, hopefully he does, because we haven't seen him in a while. So
yeah, really, I'm starting to wonder if he's alive anymore, because I mean it is Cincinnati. I mean it's basically Kentucky for all we know. All right, anyway, Garv, SmackDown. Walk us through, buddy. What was your favorite thing about SmackDown?
SmackDown was kind of strange. The impression I got was that they were going to really build up, SmackDown into a more wrestling-based show, less storylines. I think, just looking back at how they used to do SmackDown, that seemed to be the case. They were sort of doing that again with this episode of SmackDown because it was 10 matches. Like, they promoted it for 2 or 3 days, prior to SmackDown airing on Friday that it was going to be 10 matches, and that was kind of cool in theory, but to me it was just really slow. I thought the entire evening just seemed to kind of drag. There was nothing that was outstanding. There was no real gap in between matches. It was just match and then small segment maybe here and there, and then another match. A majority of the show, we can really look at. It was just a build up for the Four Corners match at Over the Limit between Sheamus, Randy Orton, Jericho, and ADR. They had a tag team match to open it up. That ended in DQ.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was a rematch basically where Randy Orton took on ADR, and that ended in a DQ. The main event, Jericho took on Sheamus, which ended in a DQ. So they were really trying to build that matchup, but I think they failed at just making this an epic show, which it should have been. So otherwise, there wasn't a whole lot going on. I mean, like we had a Daniel Bryan versus Big Show match, was just another way for them to build up the John Laurinaitis Big Show feud.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really talk or touch on the fact that Daniel Bryan was going to go face CM Punk at Over the Limit, which is a trend that we'll probably talk about, during the Raw discussion. We saw some more Antonio Cesaro. He looked pretty good against Alex Riley, but there was nothing I could really take away from the show as awesome. It was just a mediocre show, at best.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. All right, so just go. I mean, well, the only thing I did want to ask is, Joe and I would discuss for a while with Daniel Bryan and AJ when AJ finally broke away from Daniel Bryan. She would have like a meteoric ride. Like it would be the best thing for her because she'd get a lot of heat. It seems like they're pulling the plug on Daniel Bryan and AJ because of the Yes Chance. Do you think AJ is talented enough to be sort of like a standout in the Divas division, or do you think she's just another run-of-the-mill diva?
Oh, I think she definitely has the in-ring talents to carry herself. She definitely has the mic talents to carry herself, and she's a fantastic actress. So I think overall she's probably one of the best divas in my mind, at least. I'm always entertained by AJ, and I think I wouldn't say they're necessarily trying to split them apart. I mean, we did see some interaction between the two. We also saw some interaction between Daniel Bryan and AJ on Raw. So I don't think by any means that they're going to split them apart yet. There's too much heat that is being brought on by those two.
Okay, no, that's fair. All right, so just want to bounce over to Sacrifice. Let's get that on.
Yeah, might as well.
Okay, let's get our Sacrifice on. First up, for predictions, with a grand total of 5 correct matches. Me, I won. Me and Joe, but he's not here, so he doesn't count. But I won. Oh, I'm beating Rob. Oh, it feels so good. It's washing over me like a warm wave. Oh, I'm at the beach right now, Rob. I have buried you in the sand.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, Joe and I got. Well, actually, you know what? You and Garvin both actually lost to Lee, which we did it on Saturday. It was the first time he ever been on the show, and he did better than both of you. Yeah, so Joe and I both got one on that one. So let the games begin yet again.
Well, that's nothing necessarily to brag about. I did
Yes, it is,
awful.
Garvin.
I did awful this show.
You really
So
did. You
for
only got
Lee to
got...
do better than me is like nothing.
Yeah, once again, I think it's, I don't know if it's TNA or what, but you tend to have the kiss of death sometimes where you either do really well or you do terribly. Like there is no, like Rob is consistent. Rob is consistently getting at least, well, this one you were a little off on, but I think you're right. If you were there on Sacrifice, you probably would have won. But usually when it comes to the pay-per-view predictions, Rob is, Rob's our Cal Ripken Jr. I mean, he's always right there every time. And, he'll, turtle it. But anyway, so yeah.
Well, wait.
Oh, sorry.
Regardless of how poorly I did in predictions, it doesn't matter because this pay-per-view, TNA Sacrifice, was by far, in my mind, if you look at the live chat, they're all saying the same thing. Best TNA pay-per-view this year.
Oh yeah, yeah, hands
Definitely.
wall to wall. It was something we discussed on the Sacrifice pre-show with Lee. In that we were looking at it on paper. On paper, this pay-per-view has potential to be absolutely stellar. But we were worried, like we said that with caveat, we were worried about like Kurt Angle and AJ Styles. I mean, Kurt Angle's getting up there, maybe he can't perform. Jeff Hardy and Mr. Anderson. I mean, the other thing that we were talking about was Austin Aries versus Bully Ray, because Bully Ray is going to be his first real opponent in a pay-per-view that's not X Division. Can he cope with it? I mean, ladder match with RVD, who's getting up there. Gail Kim and Brooke Tessmacher. Tessmacher's match on Impact the Thursday before was rickety with Velvet Sky. It was kind of botchy. It didn't really flow. But yeah, I mean, this pay-per-view, wall to wall, awesome. So what was your standout moment, Rob?
Uh, uh, for me, it's really a tie. Austin Aries impressed the hell out of me against Bully Ray, especially after Bully Ray literally kicked a field goal with
Yeah.
Austin Aries and just kicked him off of the top turnbuckle into the steel barricades. And you could see that Aries had like this huge, I mean, these huge welts forming. And, Bully Ray played his character perfectly and just beat the living piss out of Austin Aries. Yet Aries found a way to come back and pick up the win. That impressed the hell out of me. And if that doesn't impress the hell out of TNA management, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Oh, absolutely. That was actually okay. Here you go, Rob. This was a discussion that Lee Garvin and I had on Saturday, and it was when you look at Austin Aries, you see a guy who could potentially have that sort of Austin 316 moment where we can look back at this one point where they made that turn into superstardom, where he wasn't just a mid-carder, he wasn't just good, he became, holy crap, this guy is astonishing. When Triple H won the Royal Rumble, I mean, the list goes on and on. Do you think we're going to look back at Sacrifice 2012, 3, 4 years from now, and say that was when Austin Aries put his stamp on this company?
Without a doubt. I mean, Bully Ray is an established superstar. I mean, the stuff that he and Devon did as Team 3D, they've
Legendary.
established themselves as, superstars, as main eventers, and taking the beating that Austin Aries did and still managing to do his job and get the win and look good doing it. I think Austin Aries in this match proved that, yeah, I can hang with the big boys too.
Doesn't have to be an
Yeah,
X Division match. I'm sorry, go on, Garth. What were you going to say?
yeah. I mean, I think we set this match up to be the best match of the night, and I think it was there. You know, but expectations wise, it probably wasn't the best match ever. But overall, I mean, it definitely showed how well Austin Aries can be when in a position under the spotlight, and that was a major spotlight match, especially working with Bully Ray.
And
But
when
to see him do the brainbuster, I
yes,
I popped. But when
I
Bully Ray kicked out of the brainbuster, I was floored. I
yeah
couldn't I couldn't believe that they would go that route. But it was fantastic. It was good. So yeah,
yeah
I definitely agree with that sentiment that this is the match we're going to look back. But I still don't think that he's necessarily ready to move forward, out of the X division. I think we're still going to wait a couple months before we see him push forward into a main event position.
that's possibly true, but you make a good point there, Garvin. One of the things that impressed me about this match was, you know, Tanay did his job perfectly. The entire match, Tanay was like, well, can Austin Aries hit his finisher? Is Bully Ray too big to lift up into the Brainbuster? did his job as an ex-wrestler, saying, it's not like a suplex or something. A brain buster is a power move. You have to have upper body strength. You have to be able to power your guy up and then drop him. The commentators, uh, Taz and Mike Tenay, take a lot of crap for being subpar commentators. In this match, they did their job perfectly. They
Yeah,
pushed they pushed Aries as the underdog. They had you doubting whether or not Aries could do it, especially with how his back was getting beaten up, and it just made it all the more epic when Aries hit the brain buster and then Bully Ray kicks out,
yeah, yeah.
and then
Uh,
Aries ends the match with the Horns of Aries. All in all, just an awesome match.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, we can't devote. We've devoted so far 5 minutes entirely to Austin Aries. We got to run through the rest of the card. Gail Kim retaining against Brooke Tessmacher. Just real quick, what do you guys think? Mistake or it's okay?
Mistake.
Mistake, Garvin.
I'd only say it's a mistake because I voted for Brooke. I
Both of you did.
definitely thought that they would be moving forward, but at the same time, it's not because of how awful Brooke was 2 or 3 months ago. She still needs more time. I think if they gave her the title, it'd be a rush. I'd rather see them rebuild that division besides, just a couple of people. So I
Okay,
think
that's
I think maybe another month.
okay. That's fair enough. The other question I have is tag team championships. No mention of it at all on Impact, and Samoa Joe and Magnus dropped the titles to Daniels and Cash. It seems. I mean, is that weird to anybody else? I mean, just real quick. I mean, does that just seem strange? They wouldn't even. They didn't even mention the match at all at Impact. Then they get the titles off of Samoa Joe and Magnus.
Well, it's kind of strange, but given how things played out later on in the evening with Kurt Angle and AJ Styles and their match and everything, I would not be surprised if on one of the impacts coming up or the next TNA pay-per-view, we see Kurt Angle and AJ Styles versus Daniels and Kaz for the tag team titles.
Okay, that's fair. Garvin, you agree?
That was definitely my surprise of the night. But I don't know. I have mixed feelings. There was a lot of talk on Twitter after that match about, the idea of what do they do with Samoa Joe and Magnus now. I really hope that they keep them in the tag division and they build up the division. So it's Joe and Magnus and Kaz and Daniels, and then what they're building now, which is Angle and AJ.
Styles. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that that's the direction they go for now.
And Motor City Machine Guns are still floating out there.
Correct.
So
Yeah. Once they're back team, I mean that's four awesome tag teams. That's going to be a really hot division.
okay, no, cool. I mean, Rob, you agree?
Yeah, I definitely
Okay,
agree and want to see them build
cool, cool,
up the
cool.
tag team division.
All right. Main event. Bobby Roode retains. Thank God against RVD in a ladder match. I mean, what'd you guys think? Just real quick.
Uh, I think it was. I have the same thoughts on this as I do about Gail Kim. I don't think Bobby Roode needed to retain. Does nothing really for him. We've been saying this time and time again. Roode doesn't need the belt anymore.
Okay. I disagree with that with James Storm coming around, and then we got
I
another pay per
yeah,
view.
I also disagree. I mean, I thought it might be an opportunity to put RVD back in the title race. I mean, he never lost the title. That was like the big storyline for a year now.
Yeah.
But yeah, with James Storm theoretically coming back, maybe Slammiversary is coming up soon. I think that's what they're going to build up towards is Bobby Roode versus James Storm, and that should be that should
Epic.
be the match.
Yeah, that was one thing we discussed. Yeah, Rob, that was another thing. You were handicapped on this one. I'm willing to bet if you were there on Saturday, you would have changed because all we discussed on that was the promos on Impact about how James Storm, like those cliche '80s movies like Commando, where you expect the guy in the suit with the aviators to walk in and go, "You're a hard man to find, James Storm," and he's like, "Not hard enough, it seems." And then your country needs you, and then he goes and fights Soviets. So
Yeah,
like that's basically what we
it
all
did.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it did have that. Those James Storms promos did really have that kind of feel to it.
Yeah, but they're so good. They're so
Yes,
good. Yes, I mean
Yes,
with the farm and the horse and the hay, I'm like, oh, I want to buy your shoes, sir. I will buy you the jeans you're wearing. Looked like a Levi's commercial. All right. So, Monday Night Raw, depending on which side of the fence you are on, this is either the worst Raw to ever preview a pay per view or the worst Raw to ever happen ever. Uh, just this keep on coming. This was a cavalcade of cliches. I mean, you had the double tag team thing to promote two different storylines. Big Show was fired in what I believe was potentially the best segment on Raw that like making spaghetti in water that you wash the dishes in. It just was like, oh, this is just terrible. Like it just kept going. Kane versus Big Show. I mean, it was an all right match. Beth Phoenix versus Alicia Fox. Alicia Fox looked pretty good. Beth Phoenix is looking pretty good. Layla, I completely forgot about until she came out with the title. Jericho and Orton and Sheamus. I mean, it was just this whole thing. It was just a rickety show. But I mean, the big things coming out of it. Big Show gets fired. Basically, and sentiments from Pete from the Marks Group right there. The treatment of Big Show is ridiculous. I can't believe that any guy his size with any kind of self-respect would allow himself to basically be bullied night in, night out by pimple little F words. Waka waka waka, like Cody or Johnny, or more accurately, the creative department. Yeah, I can kind of agree with that. But I mean, I just look at it as Big Show being fired. The segment went on way too long. It did not need to be that long. Yeah, they're putting over Johnny Ace, and they're like, oh, he's a heel. He's the bad guy because we're gonna basically rehash the storyline. We're basically watering down Vince McMahon and serving it to you. You know, like a very thin gravy.
pretty
I'm
much.
hungry. I'm hungry. That's why you're getting a lot of food analogies right now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just yeah. Yeah, Chat's agreeing with me. Big Show was allowed to show a different side to him, but it went on for way too long. And it's true. Big Show sold it. The problem was he had to sell it for so long. The segment was, it's seriously, that is not even a 3 minute segment. That's maybe a 2 minute segment that lasted, I gotta say, it felt like it lasted 8, 10 minutes. I mean, Johnny Ace just Big Show vamping with the I'm going to a knee, I'm not going to a knee, I'm going to a knee, I'm not going to a knee. It just I don't know. It was just it just went on entirely too long. Much like me describing how long it went on.
Well,
Uh
so Harrison, where do they go from here with that? I mean, do they really take Big Show off TV, or does he try to fight with his job? Or I mean, what what do you expect them to do with this?
I want them to take Big Show off TV because that means Greg will lose so many points in the draft because he currently has Big Show.
Mike
Greg,
Mike took
best
Big
idea you can do right now
no
is to trade Big Show. It worked for me last season. Don't
no
listen to anybody else. Garvin, shut up. It worked for me last season. I soared in the points, dropped Big Show like a bad habit. And then
yeah,
we'll see him
Greg, totally drop Big Show.
and we'll see him next week. Hell, we'll see him
Uh,
Sunday. I don't know. The theory. There are two theories. One, he's intermittently gone until Johnny. I mean, this whole thing with Johnny Ace is coming to a head, basically, where he's the heel storyline. You know, the thing with Brock Lesnar, everything going on with Triple H coming back. It seems like there's going to be some conflict going on between Johnny Ace and Triple H, and either Ace is going to lose his job or whatever. And then Big Show comes back, or Big Show actually interferes during the Ace versus John Cena match, costs John Cena the match to get his job back. Since he's already fired, he won't lose his job. Or Johnny Ace goes to Big Show in the course of the pay-per-view and says, if you interfere, I'll give you your job back. Or he might do that on he might do that on SmackDown. I don't know. That was another theory that was out there. I was thinking it too. It seems too kind of conveniently ridiculous to work. I mean, it's one of those things that, yeah, it sounds like a good idea, except for one guy in the room just has to go, nah, that's kind of stupid. So, I don't know. All right, Garv, what do you got?
All right, they spent more time on this show building up um, the whole World Heavyweight Championship match, the Four Corners match, instead of building up Punk and Bryan.
I'm sorry,
Every
I don't think Daniel Bryan and CM Punk have a match, do they? I haven't seen
They
it.
do, and it's weird because
It's
like we were all, yeah, that match sells itself, and I think WWE thought the same thing, and then they really haven't brought it up. But do you think that's a mistake that they're not pushing that match harder? I mean, they are having some interactions, but not as much as everything else that's being pushed.
No, I don't think it's so much that they're not pushing it hard enough. I think they just think that this match is going to happen and there will be no storyline beyond it. I think this is one of the things they don't want to spend a lot of time on because after Sunday, we're never going to see the two of them against each other for a long time. And I think that's seriously where WWE is going for it. I mean, it's one of these things where it's like it's a match that the IWC wants to see. It's a match that the crowd kind of wants to see because you got your Punk fans and you got your Bryan fans, which are actually probably the same people. But I really think, well, no, legitimately,
right, probably.
I legitimately think that after Sunday we will never see. There is no feud beyond these two. I think right now, I got to put on my tinfoil hat and I got to play my cynic role. I think they took Jericho right now, is supposed to be going up against CM Punk yet again. They're realizing it's not working. They pull CM Punk from the storyline. They got a pay-per-view coming up. They got to do something with it. So they have Punk versus Bryan, and that's just a holdover right now. That's a stall for what they're going to do with these two guys until after the pay-per-view. They just needed a few weeks to figure out what that's going to be. I mean, that's my tinfoil hat cynic idea. I don't know how real it is or how true it is, but I mean, that's where I'm standing. That's what I think is going on. I think it's just a stall for creative.
I'm with you on that, Harrison. From what I've seen of the Punk Bryan storyline, I think we're not going to see much of it beyond Over the Limit either.
Yeah, Cena and Johnny Ace had a segment. If you're the TMZ crowd, this is a big deal because this is the one that after it came out that Cena was having his divorce. Here's the thing though about divorces. These kind of things tend to brew for a while. It's not going to all come to a head because TMZ broke it. I mean, this has obviously been affecting Cena for a very long time, and he still managed to do his job. That wasn't going to change last night. It's not going to change Sunday. It's not going to change for the next few months. It went on for, 15 minutes? Is that what we're saying, Garvin? Over 15 minutes? It did a very good job of showing that Johnny Ace has no business being on the mic because Cena busted out the loser thing, went over great with the crowd, was entertaining to see, and Johnny could not keep a straight face. I mean, you could tell Cena was so good on the mic and was just he put Laurinaitis under pressure, and Laurinaitis cracked considerably.
I suppose you could look at it that way, or you could look at how irritating that segment was.
He was laughing. Oh, I'm sorry. How irritating it was for you, the fan.
Mike, on the mic, Cena, I thought was pretty awful. The whole thing was awful. The live chat, except for Diva Jill, for whatever reason she liked it, but everyone else is hating on it as well.
I'm not hating on it. I'm just looking at it from the point of view of they needed to do something with these two. They got a thing on Sunday. They have to address this match. They have to do something with it. So they have Eve come out with a stipulation that there will be no stipulations or else Johnny Ace is going to be fired. Have Cena come out, do his little spiel, show everybody that even though TMZ did his thing, he's still going to do his thing. I thought it was entertaining. I laughed at it a few times. I got to be honest, the loser thing was having me chuckling a few times because I was like, it's juvenile, it's silly, but it was fun to watch. You can tell he was having fun with it. It was one of those things. It was exactly like Big Show. It did not need to be 15 minutes. That was seriously an 8-minute segment that went on entirely too long. I mean, I have no other I don't know. This Raw, when I first thought about it, I thought this Raw was really solidly booked, and then the more I realized how much time was devoted to things that did not need as much time, and then when just all the things I was hearing about. I mean, Lee on Wrestling News Source put up a great article about how terrible it was. I read it, and I was like, dude, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I don't know what's going on with WWE, but on the Raw show, cracks are beginning to form in the foundation that I think are going to come to a head unless they do something big. I don't know. I think it's becoming very clear that Over the Limit is a pay-per-view that they are not prepared, or they did not have anything prepared for. And they're just scrambling right now to get something going, get the pay-per-view out of the way, and now they're looking forward to the weeks after, is where I'm thinking. And chat's saying, well, at least Cena got the crowd on his side, sort of. But, I mean, if you were a fan of Cena before the segment, you're going to stay a fan afterwards. And vice versa. He didn't win anybody. So, all right. So now, it is time for your questions and your thoughts. You can ask us questions by emailing questions at ftwpodcast.com or send us a tweet at ftwpodcast using the hashtag AskFTW and post on our Facebook wall, facebook.com/ftwpodcast. First item on the docket from Twitter, Tom Schrank, 1981, wonder when he was born. Do you think Cena gets written off TV for a while after Over the Limit handle his divorce? Maybe.
Yeah, it seems like the opportune time, but at the same time, I don't have any experiences on divorces, but what I hear is that they take a long time to go through.
Yeah.
It's not just an instantaneous happening. So I would say yes, they probably should,
but a lot of it's
I don't know how they could.
I mean, it's filing lots of paperwork and the occasional court appearance. I mean, divorces can take years. So it depends how he and his wife want to handle it. I mean, if they want to get it over in a weekend, it'll be done in a weekend. I mean, I don't even think they really even have to appear at court. I mean, just in front of a magistrate, sign some paperwork, and it's done. So, I mean, for all we know, he could be divorced right now.
Yeah, I don't foresee him taking time off. At least not now. Maybe after SummerSlam. But I think there's still a lot of stories that he can push better than anyone else, which is actually a really sad statement if you think about it. But I think overall they probably should, but they're not going to. Especially not how they're building them up with all the Make-A-Wish videos that they kept running over the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. See, with John Cena, this is the guy that they have to lock out of the WWE gyms and literally force him to go on vacation. I don't think they're going to write him off of TV anytime soon because, Cena's made it clear that not only is he a company man, he truly enjoys his job.
Yeah, that was something that who was it on our Facebook page basically posted that Raw was very clear between the Make-A-Wish stuff and Johnny Ace firing Big Show. Hey, everybody, look, Cena's the good guy, Johnny Ace is the bad guy. Do you got it yet?
You get it?
Yeah, really. Okay, so...
What do we have to do to this guy? Do we have to put him in a Superman outfit? Do we have to put a halo on his head? What do we have to do to tell you people that Cena's the good guy here?
Yeah, really. Maybe actually have them come out in white and black hats. All right, so bringing up the topic of double winner at the Rumble, which has happened twice before. John from WrestlingFusion.com posted an article on WWE basically an article that he found on WWE.com. Basically, if two people hit the ground at the same time at a Rumble, instead of having co-winners, which has happened, you have the final two fight the other 28 guys all over again. I'm guessing in some kind of like gauntlet match. Okay, it would be plainly obvious that this was going to happen because they would have to basically have the Rumble start a lot earlier in the pay-per-view than they normally do. But how awesome would that be?
Truthfully, not very awesome. I mean, after watching one Rumble match, and you see like the fluke, which if you're planning it, is almost impossible to plan anyways, because you got to get two guys to hit the ground at the exact same time.
It's happened. It was Batista and Cena did it, and Bret Hart did it with somebody else. I don't remember who.
Right, 2 times in 25
you
Royal
don't
Rumbles?
Want to rehearse it. I mean, you don't want to keep doing it over and over again, or else it becomes a tripe. I mean,
right. But my point remains the same. It doesn't. It's happened it's exceptionally rare. I kind of like the idea of having the two guys left go at it with each other because you want to talk about how one guy will feel like they got gypped. Well, if you restart and have basically another Rumble match, what happens if somebody else who lost the match now all of a sudden wins? Now you've got a ton of wrestlers who are pissed off.
Well, Rob, the great thing about pro wrestling is that they could write it to where that doesn't happen.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, I realize what you're saying. But my the takeaway I have it from it is to basically once again don the tinfoil cap. WWE came up with this idea. They were the ones that said, "Hey, everybody, what if this happened?" Almost like, "Would you be pissed if we did this?" Be, it was it's one of those things where it's really interesting with WWE.com becoming almost like a way for them to control spin and news stories and stuff like that. Besides being a PR firm, I like the idea of them floating ideas like this just to gauge reaction. What do you think about that? I mean, if you want to just go in the complete conspirator, little Jimmy angle with it, do you
I like
think that WWE would float this idea?
um I like that WWE is using WWE.com to try to get fans uh, active in things and get their opinions on everything. That's a good use for the website, in my opinion. And they could use it for something like this. I don't think they will though, because over the years WWE has shown that despite what fans think, they really don't give a shit. They're gonna do what they want regardless of what the fans think.
That's fair. They're like your parents, Eat your veggies; they're good for you. Uh, Chat saying WWE.com is without a doubt WWE's best chance to find out what fans want, which is true because if you go to YouTube, you're going to get nothing but negativity. If you go to Twitter, you're going to get nothing but snarky comments by podcast hosts who have had basically too many beers, and his other podcast hosts are telling him to calm down because it's not funny anymore, which is probably why you haven't seen me tweet in a while.
Oh, I thought you were making fun of Kevin.
No, I was making
All
fun of
right.
me. Joe would tell me to cool it a couple times.
I thought he was making fun of the arguments I had gotten into with TNA people.
No, those were awesome because those are legitimate arguments that I thought were great. No, Joe would occasionally shoot me a DM and go, "Okay, calm down, dude. Let's. You're not on stage. You're not charging tickets. You don't have to perform like this all the time." I mean, what do you think, Garth?
Well, you know what? I think the idea that they put across wouldn't work. We've seen the 40-man Royal Rumble, which the chat has brought up as well. It went over poorly just because it was long and drawn out. We wouldn't want to see that again. But at the same time, like they could do it the next night, like on Raw,
Yeah,
or they could do probably what would work out best, which is have the two final winners face off one on one, in the final 15 minutes of the pay-per-view. I think that would be a better situation.
see, the only reason I don't like that is because usually the two guys, I mean, they'd have to be in really good form, and then to put on a match too. I mean, you're asking a lot out of them because they're going to have two matches that night plus the Rumble. Because when it gets down to the two of them, they have to sell that. So you got like a mini match at that point. I mean, you don't have to look at doing another 20-minute match. They're going to have to fill up about 7 minutes, and then you're going to have them hit the locker room, cool down, get some Gatorade in them, and then go out again and put together
Yeah.
another 12, 15.
No,
I
I get
mean,
that.
yeah, I mean, I can think of off the top of my head 8 guys in WWE that could probably do that.
Yeah,
So
and also just backtracking on what I suggested about doing it again the next night, or even doing that the
yeah,
next night. The live chat is saying why would I just pay $55 for the Royal Rumble if they're just going to redo it the next night?
Well,
So I get that argument as well.
well, um, to be fair, one thing we're missing here: A, it depends on at what point in the Rumble the two guys enter, and B, one of the things that drags out the Rumble and kind of dampens enjoyment, especially during the 40-man Rumble, was you've got too many people in the ring, so you have a lot of guys who are just standing around,
we're
kind of
doing that.
waiting,
The forearm hits on
for
the
their
back.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it could be doable, but I do have to agree with Harrison. Off the top of my head, I can't think of more than maybe eight to ten WWE wrestlers who could do what that would require.
Yeah. All right, so Cuchito, anyway, emailed us basically about John Laurinaitis and Teddy Long, the whole storyline with them. Basically, right off the bat, is there any chance this ends soon? Basically, he goes on to point out Teddy Long was GM for 9 years, and however long he was in WCW, 40, I don't know. He could pay for his grandkids to go to college 6 times, doubtful considering how little these guys make. But he brings up a really good point. Teddy Long is a legend. He's been in the industry forever, and now they have him Oh boy, greatest hits. Dressing up like a British guard, wearing a maid's outfit, holding up some clumsy goof that can't wrestle and probably be gone before SummerSlam. They have Eve bossing him around, which I like. They don't even trust her to have one-on-one match with Kelly at WrestleMania. Hey, and she's bossing around Teddy Long. The whole thing's idiotic and pointless. John Laurinaitis and Teddy Long. Is this going to end soon? Let's say soon as SummerSlam. Do you see this dying before SummerSlam?
No. And I don't see it dying before SummerSlam because I see Laurinaitis staying at least that long. I mean, it's not just Laurinaitis, or I'm sorry, it's not just Long that's going through this. I mean, he's also doing it at the Big Show. He's sort of kind of doing it to John Cena. I'm sure that's going to spread as we continue to move forward, and Laurinaitis continues to be a major character. So yeah, I foresee this still going for a while until there is some type of, uprise or revolt, as a live chat is saying.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And the reason why I don't want John, I mean, I don't want John Laurinaitis to drop this because I don't want Eve. I want Eve to become the character that I want Dixie Carter to be. And she hasn't gotten there yet. But I really love Eve in this stipulation with John Laurinaitis. I love the heat she's getting. I love I mean, she's found a pretty good role that she's starting to hit her stride on, and I really see a lot of potential there. I mean, I just don't want to see that stop just yet because she hasn't proven to me yet that this could be a mistake, is what I'm saying. She's giving me more hope than pause. What do you think, Rob?
Well, I think that's mainly because WWE doesn't trust her as a wrestler, so might as well try her out in more an administrative role. I think he's right on that.
That is a fair point. I will give you that.
Um, I I do agree with him on certain points that Teddy Long is being humiliated and all that stuff, but WWE does this stuff all the time. They pick a guy, and it's like, okay, for a couple of months, we are going to humiliate you. We are going to just
Right.
drive you to the point of suicide.
Yeah.
Uh,
Be a
and
star.
right. um, so I don't think it's going to end before SummerSlam. But it probably won't last too much longer after SummerSlam. I don't see that there's going to be a lot of room for this to go. I think they've burned up a lot of this storyline already, just getting to this point,
Hmm.
and I think the storyline is running out of gas.
Okay. I just want to say one thing to that before we move on. To those of you guys who think that this will run out of gas, like Rob, two things. One, Cole versus King, and two, anonymous Raw GM. Two
Good
storylines that
points.
lasted entirely way too long. Chris P emailed us and said, "Hey guys, been listening the past month and decided this is more interesting than most of the stuff in wrestling nowadays." Chris, thank you for your email. Really appreciate it. Moving on. No, he wanted to know basically of all the ECW originals, basically the guys who built up ECW and were famous mainly for being in that promotion, Sandman, Dreamer, Raven. Who do you think would be the first one inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? Dreamer for me. I mean, other than RVD, and RVD's not leaving TNA anytime soon, I gotta say Dreamer.
I would say RVD or Taz before Dreamer, but Dreamer is a definite possibility.
Yeah, Garf.
I could see both, but I mean, we can't say that no one from ECW has been in the Hall of Fame yet. I mean, just to clarify, Terry Funk is in the Hall of Fame. He was a two-time ECW World Heavyweight Champion. And Jimmy Snuka is in the Hall of Fame, and I believe he was there for a little while at least.
Yeah. Well,
I want to say he was champion,
Chris's
but
point
yeah,
is that when you
I
say
know.
these names, you think ECW. I mean, when you say Terry Funk, you don't think ECW, you think WWF.
Sure, but Terry Funk, you think ECW?
Yeah, I don't know. When
Come
I
on,
think
who
Terry,
who doesn't
Ter-
think Terry Funk and think ECW? I mean, he was ECW way before he was in the WWE. I mean, he was in WWE after he was way past
what
his
do you think?
eligibility
It
to be
depends.
a good wrestler.
It
you
depends on
think
how much of a wrestling junkie you are. If you are really fanatic about wrestling, when you think Terry Funk, you think about the Japanese death matches that he fought in.
Oh,
more than
wow.
ECW or anything else.
Hipster snap. Bam! Listen to those skinny jeans. Whoa! Have you? Damn, he threw it on the gauntlet with that one. Suck on that, Garvin. What do you have to say to that, Team Beard?
I don't think Terry Funk in that respect. I mean, that's just me. But the live chat is saying Paul Heyman. They think Paul Heyman would go
Oh, that's
beforehand. And we also have to think like Dudley Boyz. They
Yeah.
obviously were ECW originals and should
yeah,
be considered there as well.
but that's the same problem that Rabbit has for bringing up like Taz is that these guys are employed by TNA right now, and I mean you can get around. Okay, you can get around that argument by saying Ric Flair, but Ric Flair was WCW and WCW was much bigger implement. Let's face it, WWE when they bought ECW they just pissed on it. I mean ECW's main title became their shit title. I mean so I really got to think. Yeah, yeah. I mean that is a really good point about oh, I'm sorry. All right, so moving on. Connor. Oh, and Chris also loves Joe's ass mocker is the perfect nickname for Brooke Adams. True that. Connor asked on Forum Spring, do you think Over the Limit will be the end of People Power? No.
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 Okay. Will emailed us. Connor has his own podcast. We don't have to give a lot of time to him. When's he gonna be? He'll be on the show again. He can give us hell for that. Will emailed us basically saying that Raw was pretty good. All right, I shouldn't have highlighted that one. He was kind of being sarcastic. But anyway, just imagine if the two Johns didn't exist and redo the show. Complaints over Cena and Ace is pointless. It's like scuff on your shoes that you cannot wipe off. You either whine over the filth or ignore it and enjoy your shoes. I like that analogy because it's not about food, which is what I've been doing all day. Basically, he said he was saying that it was an okay show if you take away the Cena and Ace thing as far as the promos as what they cut for that show. The only problem I had with that though is that if you look at the amount of time they put with Johnny Ace trying to put him over as a heel and Cena over as a face, that's like half the show. I mean, you got Big Show getting fired for putting Johnny Ace over. Cena and their thing at the end was like 20 minutes. I mean, it was like half the show. It's just the two of them hyping this match they have, plus all the video promos they did. I mean, all they did was hype it. Basically, the other thing he was talking about, which is something else I thought was interesting, the truly funky booms, versus I love it, the perfectly awesome Americans. He thinks that, which is really, really interesting. There's not a lot of heat there. There's not a lot of heat there between the two of them, and it would have just been sated if they gave these guys promos or reasons for them to go at it that they didn't have to infer. I don't know. Part of me keeps saying that Kofi Kingston isn't that great on the mic, but that's only because I haven't heard him on the mic in like 4 years. I mean, when was the last time he cut a promo? Like a legitimate promo, not like when he was backstage with
The last
Daniel Bryan, right?
the
That was like the last promo.
the last legitimate promo I can remember Kingston cutting that I thought was really good was when he was against Randy Orton and he went all Street Fighter 2 and destroyed Randy Orton's car.
No. And then you're forgetting his promo during the Elimination Chamber when they had everyone in that match in the ring doing that debate.
No, I'm not forgetting that. I just didn't find that particularly entertaining.
Forget you then.
No, good point. He did pretty well. I mean, look, Will time and time again, he keeps writing in these things and brings up really good points on this. And I'm with him 100% of the way that Kofi Kingston really, he just needs that breakout moment. For whatever reason, WWE isn't going to give it to him, which is, I don't know, who knows why. But yeah, I mean, and I can't help but think that it might have something to do with him being terrible on the mic, but I guess all points to the contrary. The other thing is, which I didn't talk about in the beginning because I can't stand Paul Heyman, is he thought Heyman was awesome. I'm sure a lot of you thought Heyman was awesome. And yeah, he was awesome, except it's the same character he played last time he was here. And sure, he does a good job of it, of playing the smarmy character and everything, but it's that same thing that they did last time with, the whole, if you touch me, I'm gonna sue you. Who did that? Not Shane. Shane didn't do that.
No.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who did it. It was like his like claim to fame, and the crowd hated it because he wouldn't stand up for himself. He would keep hiding behind, well, if you touch me, I'm gonna sue you. Oh, hell, what was it?
I
Anyway,
can't recall offhand, but why would you want Heyman to play any other type of character than Paul Heyman? I mean, that's what made him awesome. I mean, no, he's not. I mean, the thing is that we don't have a lot of entertaining people on mic anymore, and Heyman is good. He's good on the mic. He's good at what he does. So
yeah.
I think the role he's using or he's being used for is really good.
See, that's the
And
thing.
also, it was Christian, according to the live chat, that was doing that.
Oh, the Sue thing was Christian. Okay. Yeah, I think I remember that. No, my problem with Heyman. Okay, my problem with Heyman isn't. I mean, personally, I don't see the hype, but like you said, the point he's playing. I the more this goes on, the more I think how ridiculous is it that you're gonna hype up Brock Lesnar as the next big thing, and then the beginning of Raw, all Triple H did was tear him down and basically go, well, you broke my arm, but that wasn't the worst thing that happened to me, and you're not anything. And then Heyman comes out and says, well, we're going to sue you because Brock Lesnar's a child and can't do this himself, and he's going to get you for breach of contract. And yeah, I mean, it's all believable and everything, but it really makes Lesnar look weak. And I think
Oh,
that's,
sure,
and it's so
but
weird when he was coming back, it was, oh, the genetic freak or whatever the hell they were billing him as, and he's unstoppable and he's going to be amazing. And it's like, where the hell was all that?
but they're doing this in a way that keeps Lesnar relevant. Okay, they're doing two things. One, they're allowing Lesnar to be active in things without actually being on TV because he does have
Right.
the limited dates.
Which is
But
why
they're
Heyman's back in
also
the first place. Which I will get you. I will
correct,
give you that one. That's why Heyman's there. Which I remember when we talked about it last week. Completely
right.
fine with. This is the only way they
and
can go
that's
with
and
it.
that's working. The other
Yeah.
thing that is happening with this is twofold, which is I think is why they're pushing the Johnny Ace John Cena storyline so much is because they are trying to get the fans back to John Cena's support to support him. They want the fans to be behind John Cena, so they're using Brock Lesnar, but the fact that he beat him, which is awesome, and then now they're moving on. So I think right now it does look kind of filler because they're pushing it with Triple H, and that's not great. But I think overall it is still effective.
See, I don't think it's effective because it's making Brock Lesnar look weak. I mean, you got this other guy fighting battles and not even fighting his battles himself. He's got a guy fighting his battles who's fighting his own battles with a lawyer. And it's like you got 2 degrees of separation between Lesnar and this feud. So I think it's just making him look really diluted and really weak. And I will say it again. I do not see the point of having Lesnar lose to Cena at his debut match. I understand what you're saying, Garvin, with that's what happened in MMA, and that's fine. But Lesnar, it's going to be what I think, like the Jericho thing again. It's going to be this thing where he comes back and it's like, hey, he's back. And then for 6 months, we're going to go, okay, let's do something now. I mean, you're back. You've been sitting here on my couch forever. Let's start paying some rent, clean some dishes. Let's do some shit. I mean, all you've been doing is sitting here and watching Oprah reruns. So I want to see some heat given to this. And right now, I think it's what you're describing. They're basically saying, wow, the crowd really loved Lesnar. That's great. We need you to love Cena more. So we're going to do this to you until you like Cena more. So eat your vegetables. And Will also agrees with basically everybody that the buy rate for this pay-per-view is going to suck. So it'll be interesting to see if that's actually the case. All right, so who's ready for quick hits?
Quick hits.
Quick hits! For those of you guys new to the show, each of us is going to get 30 seconds to sound off on a news topic, and if there's time afterwards, we'll scream at each other for a little bit. Item number 1, as we saw on Impact, here we go. Matt Morgan was taken out by Bully Ray. Now, most are predicting that he was written off and will be returning to WWE once his contract expires, which is said to be soon. First, do you think that's true? Do you see Matt Morgan in WWE? And second, if he is returning to WWE, what do you want to see them do with him? And what do you think, or basically, where do you see him going? Garvin.
Well, first we should make clear that there are some conflicting reports. Some are saying that it could be another year left in his contract, but there's no way to be sure. It's awful coincidental. But yes, I think that he will jump to WWE How I want to see them use him, I have no idea. I don't know what you could do with Matt Morgan. I'm not really high on him, but he's a big guy. Vince likes big dudes.
There it
He'll
is.
probably be dominant, but I don't know.
Yeah, Garvin, the whole thing of conflicting reports, this could be false. It's the dirt sheets that's inferred. Uh, Rob, what do you think?
Does anybody remember what Matt Morgan did the first time he was in WWE?
Nope.
No, they don't. And that's exactly why he won't go back to the WWE, because if he goes back to the WWE, he's in for more of the same. TNA made him. I think Matt Morgan will stick with TNA.
Wait a minute. Garvin, was that from Joe, our Joe?
The Joe, yes.
Our Joe.
Yeah, he must be listening in his car. By the way, you can listen to the podcast live recording on your mobile phones now.
But that's our Joe, listening to the show right now. Not on the show, not calling in, listening to it from his car or his office, or wherever the hell he is right now. All right, fine, Joe, who decided to contribute without having to actually call in. Morgan, I'm going to read it exactly like Joe does. Morgan was on the PW Torches podcast. He says he's got 18 months left on his contract. Now, I'm going to go rub kittens on my nipples because that's what I do on Tuesday nights instead of being on the podcast. Jackass.
By the way, the chat is saying Harrison's a cock. I just want to throw it out there. I'm not saying I believe that, but
I hate you all. No, basically Rob's right. Matt Morgan's not going to jump ship. He had a lackluster thing. It was just like AJ Styles. AJ Styles is going to go over to WWE. He had a crap career when he was there. Plus, what are they going to do with him? Give him Ryback's gimmick? I mean, actually, Matt Morgan would be better at it than Ryback. How about that? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't see him going, but if he does, that leads us to the next one. WWE has been pushing these cryptic revolution videos on their site these last few weeks. You can see it randomly on their video section, but with no real purpose or attachment. Now WWE is finally acknowledging it. Obviously, something or someone is coming. What do you see them doing with this, and who's most likely behind it? Garvin, what do you think? Go, buddy.
well, there's a few rumors. The major rumor is, man, and it slips my mind who that guy's name is. I hate live radio. Okay, the second one is the fact that it could be the revolt against Johnny Ace. Another one is that it could be Johnny Ace revolting against the company, which is obviously, he's feuding with.
Yeah.
I'd rather them use it to bring in some new talent. I think that would be pretty sweet to see, new guys come in and be used properly. Kind of like what they did with NXT, but actually continue it.
That's fair. Rob, what do you think?
I'm not sure what to make of these Revolution videos just yet. I think we need a little bit more time to really see, or this could be the same thing that it was about Jericho. Jericho got a lot of cool videos and everything too, and nothing really tied in. Yeah, nothing really tied into it. So this could be much of the same thing. So I think we have to wait a bit.
Yeah, Steve Credo from Marked Up posed this theory to us. Could this revolution be an uprising from Johnny Ace? There's popular sentiments are FCW guys, maybe some guys from Ring of Honor. Could be one thing is that it could be WWE Network, which is doubtful, but still, that's what the chat's saying. Dean Ambrose is being kicked around. Chat, really good, interesting thing. Revolution is the cruiserweight show. With that, I like that a lot, actually. With WWE pushing the internet stuff a lot, Revolution could be a new channel where they do cruiserweight stuff. So we'll see guys like Heath Slater, a lot of the younger guys from FCW and stuff moving up. That would be cool. I like that idea a lot. I'm going with that one. It could be the new cruiserweight show. I can see Revolution needing not so much a talent, but a new brand that they put on the internet. And Revolution can be seen as a good new revamp of NXT, which would be great. Speaking of which, WWE has moved, we're moving on to the news now. WWE has moved both NXT and FCW to Full Sail University in Florida next week. FSU, yeah! I'm a graphic designer. FSU is a premier art, film, and music school. It's one of the biggest one. I think it's the biggest. It's the most important one in Florida, hands down. This means that NXT and FCW will be joining forces and will continue to get their own TV show. But now, instead of during a taping during Raw or SmackDown event, they'll be having their own tapings. It's good for both NXT and FCW, as it gives them a solid place to work with a college crowd instead of a higher end studio. And it also be good to the school because it will give their students hand-on production to work with. Bonus. Win-win on both sides. The question is, why didn't, TNA do this when we were discussing basically the same idea a year ago? I mean, what were we talking about? TNA needs to go on tour to college universities, built-in audience, and look, bam, students get hands-on production to work with a live show. And TNA is right there. FSU isn't that far away from Orlando.
It's a great idea. It's great. It's a great idea, and yeah, this is one of those things where you'd like to see TNA do something progressive and different, and they refuse to do that for some reason. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I mean, it's and we're gonna be. I know what, a year from now, when this thing is, even if it's not awesome, it's still a great idea, and it's got legs. Just because, I mean, it gives WWE great goodwill. It gives them access to an audience. And it allows those students, I mean, it's just one of those things where I bet TNA right now is looking around, their board of directors is looking around, finding someone to blame for not coming up with it. Other big news on the TNA front, actually, King Mo signed with both Bellator Fighting and TNA. He'll compete for TNA this year, he'll join Bellator in 2013, and then compete for both at the same time. When I saw this, I was a little confused by it. Okay, so King Mo is signed, basically, Muhammad Lawal, Rob, help me out here.
No, I have no idea how to pronounce his last name.
Anyway, King Mohammed. Anyway, so he's with Bellator and TNA. TNA doesn't tour, though. So, I mean, so he's basically going to train with TNA to prepare for when he's doing MMA with Bellator?
Well, you got to figure that TNA is only doing, 2 shows every 2 weeks.
So you don't see that like harping on his schedule at all?
No.
It gives TNA a great name. I was confused by it because I was trying to think. Yeah, right now it makes sense, but a year from now, I mean, when he's doing, I don't know how heavy of a schedule he's going to have at Bellator. So, I mean, if we're looking at
MMA guys only have what 2 or 3 fights a year. I don't know, honestly.
No. In the UFC, they'll have more fights over the course of the year. If not the top guys, but like the mid to low guys that UFC doesn't give them a lot of money, they're gonna have more fights during the year. So that was the other thing. Is I mean, I don't know how heavy his schedule is gonna be.
Well, if Kurt Angle could train for the Olympics while still maintaining an active schedule in TNA, I don't think he's going to have an issue. And it doesn't mean that he has to compete every show for TNA, So
great point, Garv, except you forgot the air quotes around train for the Olympics. Scott Steiner apparently hates Eric Bischoff and both Hulk Hogan after he was fired, which was 3 weeks ago. He's been on a rampage on Twitter, and I'm telling you, you gotta read him, because damn, you can tell this guy is not shooting through a filter. He is writing these, basically dragging their names even farther through the dirt, if you can understand what he's saying. What do you think happens to Steiner next? Is there any chance at all that he'll wrestle in WWE, or do you think you'll ever see him in the WWE Hall of Fame? Rob?
No, he won't wrestle again in the WWE, and the only way he makes the WWE Hall of Fame is as part of the Steiner brothers.
Exactly. Garvin?
No argument for me.
Yeah, I don't even think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be after he's dead. Because I wouldn't risk putting him on stage with a mic.
That's a good point.
I wouldn't risk it. No, he's going to be dead before. I have no doubt after that Twitter thing, whoever's in charge of the Hall of Fame went, not until you're dead, buddy. Sorry. We're going to wait until you're pushing up daisies before we stick you in there. All right. Over the Limit. Join us live this Saturday at 1 p.m. on ftwpodcast.com/live, and we're going to preview the entire show with the full card, depending on what happens on SmackDown. But here's what we got so far. First, the YouTube pre-show, Zack Ryder versus Kane. What do you guys think of this match, and who are you taking?
Kane.
Rob's taking Kane before he falls asleep. Cool. Garth, who are you taking?
Uh, You got to go with as well. I'd love to see Zack Ryder get one over on him, but seeing that he attacked Kane in the backstage and Kane like no sold the entire event,
Yeah, it was awesome.
pretty much tells me that Ryder won't do anything. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna go with Kane as well.
Yeah, at least he's going to be on a camera. WWE Divas Championship. Layla is probably going to retain the title versus Beth Phoenix. Anybody really think she's going to drop it? Something on Amazon?
Well, I'd like to say that I
Don't be
do,
like,
but that's just wishful thinking for the draft. I could use the points.
so you're going to do that?
Uh, no, I'm gonna say Layla
All right.
retains the title.
Garv, you taking Layla too?
Yeah, I'm going to take Layla just because, so far she hasn't really gotten the type of reaction you would expect for her return. I mean, she was gone for a year, and then it's like no one remembered who she was, which is kind of odd. Um, but I think they need to give her a little bit more time as champion. So I think a win over Beth would legitimize her as a champion, but I don't think she's going to keep it for a long time.
I don't think it'll be a legitimate win. I think they'll have her win by DQ or some
Or
form
they'll
of
play up
chicanery.
Beth being injured again or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. WWE Tag Team Championship, Kofi Kingston and R-Truth versus Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger. Who's taking who?
Uh, I'll go with Kingston and Truth.
Hell yeah, I need the points. Garth, who you taking? You taking Kofi?
Uh,
I would be Rob, not Joe.
Whatever.
okay,
Alright,
sorry, I was in the live chat. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say Kofi and R-Truth retain. I don't see them dropping so soon. I'd love to see Ziggler and Swagger do something. That would be nice. That'd be a nice change. I don't see it happening though.
Okay. John Cena versus Johnny Ace. Who's taking who?
I'm
I'm
taking
gonna.
Johnny Ace.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, Laurinaitis has to win to keep his job. Yeah, yeah, I'm taking Ace too. Rob?
Uh, yeah, I'm gonna take Cena here.
Oh, you think they're gonna do some kind of end around with it? Like if Cena beats John Laurinaitis, he loses and then he wins or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the
Rob.
way, the live chat seems to be fully behind Johnny Ace as well. Although Robert is saying John Cena, but it's a toss up for him. I don't know. I think I would like to see Cena win. I'd like to see them get rid of Johnny Ace, but I don't see it. They can't do it. He's getting too much heat right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Very,
World. Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay. World Heavyweight Championship. Sheamus versus Jericho versus ADR versus Randy Orton. I'm taking Orton because I need the points.
I'm gonna go with Sheamus.
Yeah, that's probably the lock, really. But I need the points more than I need the pay-per-view win. Garvin, who you taking?
um, I actually would like to see Chris Jericho win.
Really?
Um, I think, you know, I have this theory that Chris Jericho will hold the title or hold a title going into Slammiversary, Jesus, SummerSlam.
You're not
Uh,
far off.
yeah, just because then that'll give him a chance to finish Jericho versus Punk or
God, I hope.
whatever to keep Jericho on top in some fashion. I think they need to do something good with him. Jericho wins for me.
Okay. WWE Championship match. Here it is. The only match that really is the reason why you're buying this pay-per-view. CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan. It's gonna bring the house down. Who are you taking? Can you imagine if this was in Chicago? Even more than Punk versus Cena.
It would be epic if the match was taking place in Chicago.
Yeah. All right, Rob, who you taking?
I'm gonna take CM Punk.
All right.
As if you
Yeah.
had to ask.
Yeah, I'm taking Punk too. There's no way you slow this train down. Garvin, you taking Punk or you going Team Beard?
Oh man, I'm gonna say something now and probably change my vote on Saturday when we do the live pre-show.
That's fair.
I'm gonna go with Daniel Bryan. I think putting the title on him would pose an interesting situation, considering uh, my other theory, which is Jericho would hold the title on the other side, just because they were competing on opposite ends. Last pay per view. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna go with Daniel Bryan. And by the way, the live chat is completely mixed. It looks like it's like
Wow,
50-50.
really?
Yeah.
I thought for sure CM Punk's the lock because I mean, but I'm operating under the point that seriously, Raw next Monday, we're never going to hear these two again. So I'm operating under the point of, well, if that's the case, then why take the title off Cena, Punk? Like that, this is a hastily thrown together match in a stall. So yeah, I guess I can see if looking at it from that. Okay, where do you guys think the open?
Does AJ interfere? Because that's what the live chat thinks.
Yeah, part of me thinks so, just because of her segment, well, her quote unquote segment on Raw where she walked up to CM Punk. She might interfere. Like all of a sudden she's got a crush on Punk, which I really hope isn't the case because it makes her look so weak. Uh, yeah, I guess that's a good idea. I mean, if she does, then maybe Daniel Bryan gets it, or she costs him the match again to drive heat to their feud. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of ways they could go with this. So it really is. It's the only reason to spend your $50, which is kind of sad. Um, Opening contest. I'm going with tag team championship. That's the opening contest. Besides the YouTube pre-show, if you want to really be pedantic. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Rob.
Divas match.
You think they're gonna open with Dean?
No, come on.
They're gonna open. You're gonna be sitting. Hold on, Rob. You're gonna be sitting in your living room. I just spent $60, and what do I get to say? Layla fighting a gimp, Beth Phoenix.
Hey, WWE has no
Dude,
respect for the Divas match. It's perfect that they'd put it on the. It's also clear that WWE has trouble at times picking which match should be the opening match of a card. So I could see them putting it there and just saying, okay, here's the Divas match. We're getting it out of the way.
well,
Now we're going to get to the good stuff.
no,
Yeah.
it seems to be the trend that it's the
Yep.
throwaway title match is usually what goes on there, and in this case, that's the tag team championships.
Well, and you need something to fill out. Yeah. So I could see. Well, I mean, you could look at it two ways. One, the opening contest is really like your second or third main event. So it has to be like a high impact, fast match that really, jumps the crowd. So yeah, you could see the tag team championships. Um, but I'm going to have to say it's either going to be the World Heavyweight title or the WWE Championship is going to open
Nope.
up.
No, no, no. They know. They have to know the WWE Championship is the one that all the people that really buy these things, that's the one that they're buying. Is that match?
Oh yeah,
I can't imagine that you would trump that up as the first dish. That's your
no,
main. That's going to be deep in the card. That might not be the last match, but that's going to be deeper in the card. Oh, and now Joe is editing the doc. I want to
yeah.
call you horrible names. Get out of here. Kick him out of
I
here.
would. Okay, well then, yeah, I agree. If they opened up with Punk and Bryan, I probably would have no motivation to continue watching because that's
Yeah.
really the match that I want to see. So yeah, they're probably going to open up with the Four Corners match because that's a pretty big deal, or the tag title match.
He
I can
just
go either
picked.
way, I guess.
Okay, Joe just made a huge mistake. He just picked all the matches that Garvin just picked. So
Hey,
obviously,
we're going to go
Garvin
all the way
death. You don't do
together.
that, man. Don't do that, Joe. You just cost yourself that pay per view. You're not going to win now. You know better than to follow Garvin into that thing. All right. Anyway, okay. So what do you think Cena versus Ace is? Do you think that's going to be the last match of the night, or do you see that kind of like lower mid card, second to last match?
Sadly, that's probably going to be the main event. Last match of the night. Just with the way they've been pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and shoving it down the throats of the WWE universe, as they like to say.
Okay.
I don't see where they could put that anywhere other than last match of the night.
All right. I'm going to make a prediction. If it is the last match of the night, expect a twist, like a massive twist.
And that massive twist better not be Big Show.
I'm just saying. Well, he is massive, and it would be a twist. And
Now,
he's
Kevin Nash, now that's something else.
they're not going to trot him out. This isn't the Royal Rumble. They learned that. They learned that lesson. Any surprise matches? Ryback, Brodus Clay. Brodus Clay is going to be on the card, hands down. You don't miss that opening. He's going to be the
I think they
one.
both will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brodus Clay's going to be the one that washes the aftertaste of the Divas Championship match off away from us.
I think they both will. They both will get a match, something to fill the gaps. Because right now there's only 5 matches on the card outside of the YouTube pre-show.
Yeah.
So unless they book something on SmackDown, which we'll find out uh, you know, prior to the live show on Saturday if we do. But otherwise, there's going to be some surprises. There usually is at least one. So.
Okay, that's fair enough. Now remember, you can join us live this Saturday at 1 p.m. on ftwpodcast.com/live as we're going to preview the entire show with the full card, including all the discussion that even better than what you've heard right now. But not only that, we're going to have Mike from PW Torch and Scott from Lethal Injection Podcast. So if you want to hear what it's like for two grown men to talk wrestling after playing Diablo 3 for 5 straight days, tune in Saturday at 1 p.m. at ftwpodcast.com/live. It's going to be fun as hell to listen to them talk. All right, who's ready for some win fail?
Women wrestlers aren't getting paid? Why do you do a job?
Here is your win
You do any job,
and fail
is to fucking get paid!
of the week.
Wins of the week. Go Garvin.
Sacrifice. The entire show was by far the best pay-per-view that TNA has done. There was really little to complain about. I mean, you could look at the botch ending that we saw with Jeff Hardy and Anderson, but knowing the two competitors that are in that match, that was kind of expected. But overall, I thought it was a great show. So Sacrifice is my win of the week.
All right, Rob.
My win of the week is going to be a bit more narrow focused. I'm going to say the match against Kurt Angle and AJ Styles. That was an epic match. AJ Styles and Kurt Angle really took it to another level and showed why they're among the top talents that TNA has. And that entire match just blew me away.
My win of the week is, the chat's in agreement with us. My win of the week is specifically Austin Aries. We've been hot on this guy for a really long time. We've said that he is the future, and now we just got one big bullet to load in the chamber as to why. This guy is phenomenal. Phenomenal is the only way I can describe him. Chat saying win of the week is the Brain Buster right there. Win of the week, TNA Sacrifice start to finish. The story told in the AA or in the Austin Aries Bully Ray match. Bam, right there. Chat's agreeing, saying Angle and AJ was absolutely fantastic. Shut up, Garvin. AA reference. Anyway, TNA Sacrifice brought their game up, and we can only hope that TNA is really turning a corner, and this is the kind of quality they're going to put out for their pay-per-views, because it's going to be fantastic. All right, fails of the week. Your fail of the week, go Garvin.
All right, my fail of the week, I'm going to generalize again, and I'm going to say WWE as a whole. Their job this week, including last week's SmackDown, was to build up Over the Limit, and it seems like they have failed on all accounts. And the fact that all of our wins and all of the chat's wins came from a TNA show, one TNA show. That says something. I mean, that's a huge sign that they're doing some bad things right now. So, yeah, all the way WWE, my fail of the week.
Rob, your fail of the week.
My fail of the week also goes to the WWE as a whole, but for not being able to get their fans to be able to tell who the good guy is and who the bad guy is. I mean, like we were talking about earlier in the show, the WWE has done everything other than come out and say, okay, Cena's the good guy. Do you get it?
My fail of the week, it specifically was when we see King, we come back from commercial, and we see Cole and King of the announce booth going, and Big Show was fired, and it's a travesty. And King's like, I know the guy was with the company almost 20 years. He was a legend. He was amazing. He was awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, the boom boom funk is on a roll. Oh my god, that was awful. That's like leaving a funeral playing gangster rap. It was terrible. Following up Big Show from commercial. We get the commercial. That's great. Do not have King and Cole sell Big Show being fired and then bring us the Brodus Clay entrance, because the entire crowd was like, Big Show was crying. He was like my favorite guy. Why is there a disco ball? Oh, are you serious? We gotta go through this. I don't want to dance. And I want to sit down and have a beer is what I want to do. Chat's saying fail was the Hardy Anderson quote finish. Another fail, agreeing with me, Paul Heyman's hairline. God, that ponytail. Anderson and Hardy finish. Big Show, the 8th segment. Raw, front to back, minus Heyman. Yeah, I mean, Raw was... You gotta love that for us in the chat, all the wins were Impact, all the fails were WWE. I don't think that's ever happened before. And on that note, you can find... You can participate with us, ftwpodcast.com. Definitely check us out. Check out the, if you go to the website, go to the top of the link, hit the merch tab. Definitely check out a t-shirt. It's how you're going to support us with the show. Rate us on iTunes so we can improve our ranking there. You can find us on facebook.com/FTWpodcast, twitter.com/FTWpodcast, youtube.com/the FTW Podcast. Let your voices be heard by leaving us a voicemail at 313-444-FTW4. That's 313-444-3894. You can email your questions to questions@FTWpodcast.com. Thank you, everyone in the live chat. You were spectacular as always. You make this show something really to look forward to. We record every FTW Podcast episode on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. at FTWpodcast.com/live. We'll see you next Tuesday. Big shout out to Lee from WrestlingNewsSource.com. Thank you so much for joining us on Saturday, dude. You are awesome. And yeah, we'll see you next Tuesday. Well, actually, we're going to see you Saturday. Don't forget, Over the Limit pre-show, Saturday, 1 p.m., FTWpodcast.com/live. 2 guys that have been playing Diablo 3 for basically 5 straight days. It's going to be interesting to hear them talk. And no, we're not going to talk about the video game. See you guys on Saturday. Laters.